many differences that separate us as human beings, from our genitals to whether we prefer Android over iPhones, but none has served to divide us as much as the colour of our skin. Now, there are some people who use the phrase, "I don't see through that lens," and honestly, that's just stupid. Even worse are those who say they're colourblind, to which I reply, well then I'm a black guy named Jamal, and I want my reparations for how your pasty-ass ancestors treated my people. Of course, it's a joke, but some people don't take it that way, which just so happen to be the same people who watch everyone's favourite neck, Riley Dennis, the guy who can only see one side of an argument and rarely sees the funny side of anything.
You know how sometimes people say something and there's a meaning beyond the literal interpretation of their words?
Oh yeah, like when I say, "Thanks for watching guys," I really mean I spent 6 hours making this video, and frankly that's far too long to be staring at what can only be described as an extremely confused giraffe.
It's like if there's context or history or tone or something else behind their words.
What do you mean if? That's how we communicate. I, for instance, use a lot of sarcasm because, well, that's what us Brits do. You, on the other hand, are often all about the passive aggression because, let's be fair, that's pretty much the only aggression you can get away with using.
Like if I come up to you and say, "That's a nice shirt."
Well, that would be sarcasm, and that's appropriating my culture, Riley. Plus, the day I take fashion advice from you is the day I unironically follow BuzzFeed on Twitter.
You can probably detect that I didn't actually mean that that's a nice shirt. Or maybe you and I are on a mission where we have given someone the codename of Hawk.
What the fuck? You're talking birds now. Are you okay, Riley? Did your Adam's apple somehow make it up into your brain?
When I say the hawk is in the nest, you probably know I'm not talking about a literal hawk.
I don't know, man. I've been covering your videos for over a year now, and I still haven't got a clue what you mean most of the time.
I'm saying that the person has arrived. When we use language, we very often mean stuff beyond the literal interpretation of our words.
I think you mean literal meaning there, Riley. Literal interpretation is a bit of a contradiction, much like yourself.
When I say it's raining cats and dogs, I don't actually mean that pets are falling from the sky.
Because that's a metaphor. For fuck's sake, did you really need to explain that? No one hears that and thinks, brilliant, I'm gonna go out with a bucket and catch myself a spaniel. What the hell is wrong with you?
So, with all of that in mind, it's important to know that the phrase, "It's okay to be white,"
Oh, here we go. And why did you use so many finger quotes there? You know they aren't meant for every syllable, don't you?
is racist as shit.
Well, shit is brown, and therefore can't be racist. It can only be prejudiced.
I know it may sound innocent to some of you, but it's a dog whistle.
Ah, that explains why you're responding to it then.
It's a phrase that would fly under most people's radar, but would signal to a certain group of people, in this case, white supremacists, that the person saying this phrase is one of them.
What if a black guy says it? Damn, I bet all those poor bastards who got lynched by the KKK wish they knew about that, you know? Get the Klan off your case by using this one weird trick.
The phrase, "It's okay to be white," recently gained notoriety thanks to the garbage can of the internet, 4chan.
I'm pretty sure it's known as the asshole of the internet, but if you're saying the phrase, "It's okay to be white," is racist, then I guess you aren't really about the facts.
White nationalists and neo-Nazis on that site designed the phrase specifically to try and piss off people on the left and make white people look like victims.
No, it was created to make the mainstream media lose its shit, which it did, because the mere implication that white people have no need to feel guilty 24/7 because of the actions of people hundreds of years ago doesn't sell many Black Lives Matter t-shirts.
They wanted a phrase that could embolden white nationalists while appearing innocent to the average person.
And how did you gain such an insight into the white nationalists, Riley? Been going to the meetings, have you? Signed up for the newsletter? This might be one of those times to admit you're chatting shit, mate.
They wanted to make the public sympathetic to their imaginary cause of white people as a group being oppressed. They desperately wanted to be victims.
Well, if that isn't the pot calling the kettle a black-ass motherfucker. Your whole channel's based on victimhood, isn't it? You're making a living off of it. If you can call it living.
And frustratingly, they've kind of succeeded. Flyers with the phrase have been plastered around colleges in the US. Some asshole was actually paid money to give an "It's okay to be white" speech at the University of Connecticut.
Again, with the finger quotes. Dude, stop limbering up for when you see Fiona and get to the fucking point.
And white nationalist Tucker Carlson cried about it during his segment on Fox News.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I know you didn't just talk smack about the Tuck. He isn't a white nationalist. He reported on it, which is actually his job rather than crying on air. And he would fuck your shit right up, son. He'd destroy you with a word count of under 10. Probably less, considering you wouldn't be able to hide behind your jump cuts, which are more frequent than black-on-black crime.
But this phrase actually has an even deeper history than just racist asshats gathering on 4chan.
Mate, you're trying to say the phrase "it's okay to be white" is racist purely because of the word white. If it were any any other color, then you'd be screaming it in the street like a song by Lady Gaga.
The Anti-Defamation League has found much earlier usages of the phrase, including in a 2001 song by a white power band, in white supremacist flyers from 2005, and a KKK member tweeted the phrase in 2012.
Yeah, and the German fascist regime was allegedly inspired by the ideas of Nietzsche, but he was actually highly critical of anti-Semitism and German nationalism. But by your logic, Hitler breathed air, so not only are you a Nazi, but the only creatures on the planet that aren't Nazis are fish.
If this is your first time coming across the phrase, just know that it isn't the first time for Nazis and white nationalists.
Well, so what? I've shagged fat girls before. That doesn't make me Kermit the fucking Frog.
For them, it's somewhat of a slogan. It's a way for them to make themselves politically correct in a world that rightfully wants them to fuck off.
I don't think white nationalists are all that eager to be politically correct, to be honest, and I don't think you're really able to speak on behalf of the rest of the world. I mean, I'm a liberal, so I'm cool with people being whoever they want to be as long as it doesn't infringe on the rights of others. You, Riley, are a fascist because you want to persecute people for their outlooks and beliefs.
It's just like, if you consider yourself to be against racism, then you should probably want to distance yourself from a phrase that has deep roots in white supremacy and neo-Nazism.
Even if that is true, it's funny how we'll focus on the historical use of a word or phrase, but completely ignore the biological roots of the word gender, isn't it? It's almost like he'll only observe the side that fits his narrative. How very, dare I say it, queer.
Like, okay, literally, word for word, with no context, it's okay to be white is true.
Oh, for fuck's sake, now I'm gonna have to carry the burden of white guilt just so I don't have to agree with you.
But knowing that it has more meaning behind it, knowing that it's a racist dog whistle, that should be enough for you to say, no, fuck this, fuck that phrase, it's racist and I don't want to have anything to do with it.
And while you're there, make sure you punch any child using the counting rhyme eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Fucking pint-sized racists.
It's really not that hard.
Well, you can get pills for that, Riley.
Don't give these people the time of day. Don't get into an argument about whether or not it's okay to be white, because that's not the discussion.
It kind of is, though. I mean, you want to talk about context. The context is based in the current year, when we're told we shouldn't go see the Black Panther film during its opening week because of the colour of our skin. Or when a phrase as simple as, it's okay to be white, is deemed racist as shit. The context is this video, Riley. It's the bollocks you're saying right now and how you will laboriously trawl through history to try and prove it is a racist phrase. And you fell for it, didn't you, you chump?
Literally nobody is saying that it's not okay to be white. We're only saying that the phrase, it's okay to be white, is racist as shit.
Again, with the, what have you got against shit, Riley? Do you think every time you go to the bathroom, you're pooping out the racism? Mind you, he must know a lot about shit, because he's fucking full of it, isn't he?
And what's frustrating about this is that the racists who hide behind this phrase know that context matters. They know exactly what bullshit they're pulling.
But you're assuming the people who say it's okay to be white are racist based on the idea that saying it's okay to be white is racist. If you take that fuckery out of the equation, and I strongly recommend you do, you'll begin to see things like a human being, though you will still look like a clinically depressed palm tree.
Because when they see the phrase Black Lives Matter, they infer a whole lot of context about that phrase. Because taken literally, Black Lives Matter literally cannot be offensive. It's just a statement of fact.
Well, it depends on your outlook, doesn't it? I mean, a nihilist would say no lives matter, and in the grand scheme of things, that's a fact.
And if you disagree with it, you're saying that Black lives don't matter, which would be a really shitty thing to argue.
Except the closest we saw to that was people saying all lives matter, which was taken to mean all lives are equally at risk, even though that's not what was being said. So what I can glean from all this is that when someone wants to get offended, there's fuck all you can do to stop them.
But conservatives and white nationalists are often offended by the phrase Black Lives Matter because the context they take from that phrase is, and therefore white lives don't matter.
Well, if you want to talk about context, the actions of Black Lives Matter would show they care very little for property and anyone not of their skin colour, but we're gonna ignore that, aren't we?
That's why people get so offended over the phrase Black Lives Matter, because they infer context from it.
It could also be all the violence, Riley.
But, important distinction here, the actual context behind Black Lives Matter is Black lives should matter, but currently they are not valued as much as other lives.
And therefore, we need to show our worth as valuable members of society by smashing up a Starbucks.
So there's just no equivalency between the two phrases. But I think this can demonstrate how people infer meaning from phrases that otherwise don't have a whole lot of meaning behind them because of context.
Well, yeah, which is what you've been doing for the past 9 fucking minutes, you spastic.
For an example of how important context is, let's run through a hypothetical situation.
Oh, fucking, it's about to get a lot dumber in here.
Let's say you get coffee with your friend, and they say they'll pay for your drink in exchange for you paying for their drink next time.
Right.
So you agree, and they pay for your drink. Now, a few days later, you both go to get coffee again. When you go up to pay, your friend is waiting for you to pay for their drink, but you don't.
Probably because they ordered a fucking expensive coffee with marshmallows and shit compared to the latte they bought me last time. I don't know, is this going anywhere?
When they ask why you're not paying for their drink, you say, look, I only think it's fair that when we get coffee, we both pay for our own drinks. You shouldn't expect me to pay for your drink.
Why am I the asshole in this example, Riley?
You're ignoring all of the context that led up to that interaction. Because yeah, it would be weird if your friend just randomly expected you to pay for them, but there's history and context there.
Oh, I'm not disputing that. I just don't get how that has anything to do with anything. I mean, should I have ordered a black coffee? Would that make a difference? What are you talking about?
The people today who are saying it's okay to be white are the ones who ignore history and context and pretend that the phrase has no deeper meaning.
So, just change the wording a bit and you'll be happy, yeah? It's okay to be Caucasian. It's alright to be white. Oh, actually, that does sound better. Rolls off the tongue, you know? Maybe the guy who does PR for the white nationalists should take note of that one.
They're the ones who don't give a shit that you paid for their coffee because that was in the past and has no bearing on what's happening now.
What the fuck? In your example, it's the same people a couple of days later. Not a different group of people 2 generations later. The only way you can link the two is by saying you have to buy my coffee because your grandfather owes my grandfather a drink. And even then it makes zero fucking sense. You're just shit, Riley.
They believe everyone should pay for their own coffee, don't you? And don't try to muddy their argument by bringing in context.
What the fuck? Are you on drugs? Is he on drugs?
Or like, imagine how annoying it would be to have a friend who just constantly
No, I'm not listening to another nebulous example. I mean, I just can't believe that you have a friend. And you clearly haven't got a clue what you're chatting about, Riley. Or if you do, you have no idea how to explain it. I'm gonna go with the former, because I've seen your videos before. Chatting utter codshite seems to be a bit of a theme for you. So, there we go, guys. Definitive proof that saying it's okay to be white is racist as shit. But also that Riley needs stronger head pills. I'm just saying, there must be something lurking in all that estrogen he takes. Either that or he's shoving him in his ears. Thanks for watching, guys. Please consider becoming a patron or a supporter because look what I just went through. And don't forget to subscribe to my second channel, Drunken Pineapple, where I host the fabled Ghost Poo podcast every Wednesday. The links are in the description, and remember, the Asians are really quiet right now. They must be planning something.